Welcome to the show. My name is Karim. Thank you so much for joining us. I am here with a very popular entrepreneur in the city, Adam Jarczyn, co-founder of HOVR.IT. How you doing, Adam?
Good. Thank you for the kudos.
Thank you for coming in. I know you went to see some big time media before you came to see us. So I appreciate that.
You're big time.
Hopefully, yes, one day. But let's tell people about HOVR.IT.
Sure.
I'll explain and then you let me know whether that was good or not.
I'm sure everyone else who explains it better than I do because it's real for you. Like it's a true explanation.
It is. So for those who don't know, HOVR.IT, and it's spelled HOVR.IT, allows people basically to window shop online.
Exactly.
So you guys you use image recognition technology to make online product images clickable for purchase.
Correct.
How did this idea come about, and why now?
I mean, the concept really came from like an itch we tried to scratch internally as a team.
Okay.
It was a kind of thing where, we're finding things online that we want to buy. So like, I wouldn't consider myself like a full-out sneakerhead. Okay. But I like shoes. Like I've got a closet of a couple dozen pairs, and like I'll be
what brands do you buy or collect?
I have a lot of Nike.
Okay.
But that's just because like their style just really appeals to me, so I have it. But
cool.
Like, there's a couple of items that I found online that I just couldn't find in retailers, and I thought like, I see an item and then I go to Google and I try to find it through conventional search, and like word search just isn't elegant enough to address something that's so visual for me, right? So what we really said is, how do we make an experience, or even for myself, right? That makes it easy for me to go from, I found this really cool item that I'm interested in purchasing, or even I want to learn more information about. How do we make that really simple for online shoppers like myself? And so we kind of made a path that said, well, how do I go from an image on some website, wherever you are, and actually find retailers that sell that product? And so born out of that kind of, I wouldn't call it a eureka moment because it's something you think about for a little bit, but born out of that was really this concept about window shopping online.
Interesting. Now, do you come from an entrepreneurial or a tech background?
Technology, no. No, I'm learning though.
Okay.
Like our CTO Steve spends a lot of time like teaching me things, which is great because like he doesn't just like answer problems. He's just like, well, this is what you should know, which is great. But like my history, like background, like there's some entrepreneurship in my family. I don't know. I mean, I was just the kind of guy who keeps ideas in my phone. I'm sure we all have that kind of stuff happening. And then one day, like my girlfriend's just like, okay, like you've got all these ideas, you should probably do one of them. It was a New Year's resolution that she made on my behalf.
Interesting.
So, like I guess you could say owe it to her. Now that New Year's resolution sparked an app that we're not working on anymore, but I mean, all things still align to today, right? So
what was that app that you used? So did that app lead to HOVR.IT?
I'd say so. I mean,
so let's talk about that. What was that app about?
Sure. So that app was called Boomurang, Boomurang. And if you go to the website, like it's still there, but we're not supporting it. Yeah. But in essence, we believe that for every location in the world, there should be a chat room, and people can interact with that chat room. So what that really led us in terms of HOVR was so when we built the app, we kind of found that it was a solution to a problem that no one really had.
Sure.
Or they had it, but like, how do I tangibly find people who experience that problem?
Yeah.
So it became the kind of thing, well, what's another location problem that we can tackle that's like really tangible for people and that they understand? And then all this thinking about shoes I can't find online and finding retailers, and the whole thing just kind of molded together to be HOVR.IT.
Interesting. Now, when I first met you guys were probably the one team at INcubes in that cohort that really impressed me. And really what impressed me the most, I'll be honest with you, might not have been the tool, but it was the hustle that you guys showed. When you guys had meetings, you locked the door, you locked yourself in a room, and you worked hard, and while no one else was working or everyone else had kind of left the office and that sort of stuff. So it was that hustle that I said, okay, these guys are doing something that really, really serious. You guys asked a lot of questions. So that was one thing that really impressed me. But I remember when I first met you guys were, everyone talks about minimum viable product. And I want you to explain sort of, where you guys started. You have this whole problem of how can I get this shoe that I see online into my house. But you said, you know what, we need to start somewhere. So where was that spot that you guys started?
So before the concept of HOVR.IT was today's concept, we were working in kind of like, we chose a niche and we said, okay, we like shoes, so how do we do things in shoes?
Yeah.
And we started talking about, well, what if we could make, I wouldn't call it a social network, but a destination where people would be able to find, like, curate content around shoes and then find retailers for just that niche. Mm-hmm. So I mean, for us, like, MVP, and we did it wrong, for sure.
Okay.
Like, our line to MVP was not the way you would read about it in a book that I won't talk about.
Sure.
But I mean, it set us, like, for us, our MVP was almost just an ongoing dialogue and conversation on what a concept could look like.
Okay.
And then, you know, doing a little bit of researching about, you know, not only what the market has, but also what solutions are out there. And then finding that there was this, like, really comfortable spot that we could sit. Okay. Which ended up coming out with the HOVR.IT concept of today. So, like, for MVP, for us to, like, you know, put code into action, especially because the foundation of it is image recognition. It's hard to say, okay, go build an MVP, like that doesn't happen in 2 days, right?
Sure.
But, you know, our first crack at it was really around, where we actually hit a concept we liked, was how do we, the minimum viable product wasn't anything like what it was today, and it was really just like, could we click on images on Pinterest to start, and could we reveal the experience we wanted? So we didn't even go so far as to say, you know, how does the image recognition support the matching characteristics? It was really like, could we build the experience that we had in mind first? And then when we started playing with it, it's like, oh man, like, you can do this kind of thing. Yeah. Then we started bolting in things like matching algorithms, machine vision, machine learning. But as soon as we had the concept, we actually like seeded it into like, you know, a very small group of maybe 50 people, mostly people who would come through the INcubes like space, and just gave it to them and said like, you know, let us know, like, is this something that could help you? And like overwhelmingly, it was just like, this is really cool and it addresses my problems all the time, because I mean, you know, we gave it to people under the prefix that, you know, think about using this on Pinterest to start, because that's where the pain is most real. But when we gave it to them, it's like, you know, would this solve a pain for you? And like, a lot of stuff came back very positively. And I mean, at the same time, like, we were doing like very small group conversations with a bunch of our guy friends about like, you know, would you use this and how do you shop online and stuff like that. So like, you know, for us, an MVP was a combination of like fiddling with a little bit of code, but more like pushing the concept around and seeing kind of what stuck.
Interesting. So it was, I'm very curious, if there wasn't Pinterest, would there be HOVR.IT?
That's a good question.
Because here's what I'm getting at. You know, there's a lot of now these e-commerce sites where you can go on and the experience is almost like Pinterest, where they display all the product and they display it as it's being used rather than here's what it would look like on a hanger against just a plain white wall. You know, so you've got that ability to, you know, going to, for example, shop.ca and I'll click on this and I can actually buy it from there, versus this huge community now of people, you know, pinning imagery that they like, whether it is a dress or a shoe or a cake, and then how you design it and the recipe behind that.
For sure. You
know, so I'm curious whether that phenomenon of Pinterest actually helped HOVR.IT move forward.
Absolutely. I mean, like, you can't deny the thought, like, you know, there's eureka moments happening all the time. And like, one of the like things we like to say now, at least with HOVR.IT, is we convert kind of aha or eureka moments around products and images into shopping moments. But I mean, looking at what Pinterest was doing, so firstly, they opened the door to what a visually engaging experience can offer, at the end of the day, a retailer.
Yeah.
So even though every product on Pinterest does not lead you to a retailer, it starts to, when people start asking questions and you see all the content that's coming around about how many things are shared, and not just the virality that exists in there, but ultimately the value, which is the click-through to visit those places that are curating the content from, like, it paved the way for for the power of visually engaging experiences. And so, like, you know, we have to thank Pinterest for opening that door for us.
Yeah.
What we recognize, and you know, it starts in Pinterest, but as you start blowing out a concept, it's what we want to do with HOVR.IT is we aim to be a tool that wherever there is that aha moment around a product that you're interested in buying, we can be there to facilitate a search of some kind to make it really simple for you to find a retailer that sells that product and multiple retailers who sell very similar products. And although we find that the pain is greatest on Pinterest, meaning I can tangibly find 40 million people who experience the pain we're trying to solve every day.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's much larger
than
Pinterest.
Yeah.
So I would have to say that if it wasn't for an experience like Pinterest and those that are doing similar things to Pinterest, then yes, we probably wouldn't have recognized that there's an opportunity to create an experience where people can go from image to retail and provide that kind of bridge. Yeah. And then we look at it and say, well, by providing the bridge, there's a lot of value we address on the retailer side of things, because you get things like shopping cart abandonment, which is a huge topic for retailers. And so when we look to the research, and the research, it's a very interesting article, like you could drown in the stuff that's out there, right?
Yeah.
But like, something that really stuck for us is when we look at shopping cart abandonment, 70% of shopping carts are abandoned, and that's not even a stat today, it's probably about like 8 months old. The top 3 reasons people are abandoning, which is around not free shipping, which there's nothing you can do about that.
Sure.
But they're not comfortable with the price of the product they found on the retailer, and they haven't done their comparison shopping homework. So when we look at abandonment, for us it's almost like, well, a symptom of abandonment is actually a poor product search experience for the online shopper, because they wouldn't abandon if they didn't feel comfortable to buy it, right?
Sure.
Because they want to go out and do the homework. And with how the internet is today, like, it's natural. If I didn't turn over 20 stones, then I'm not comfortable with making the purchase, because I know that there's so much stuff out there.
Yeah.
So we really said, okay, well, like, although the eureka moment happened around how do we connect places of discovery like Pinterest into retailers, the solution piece or the experience piece is really more valuable than just that.
So let's talk about that experience piece.
Sure.
So when you see, and we'll use your experience with shoes.
Okay, sure.
When you see those new Nikes that are coming out,
sure.
How does HOVR.IT solve your problem?
So HOVR is really a solution to, I see something I like, but I don't know where to find it. That's a really hard part that you can't use traditional search to solve. Yeah. So, I mean, what's important for us and what I like is that we understand what we are, but we also understand we're not. And if you're someone who knows exactly what you're looking for, then there is the existing solution that can address you fully.
Sure.
Like, we're not interested in pursuing a business where, like, there's substitutes for every business, but in pursuing something where the substitute to us is already the leader in the space, right? So for us, the Nike shoes, if I know what I'm looking for, I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to. But the majority of experiences, so if you consider your Facebook experiences, things on blogs, if you like fashion blogs and the like, a lot of times they are, highlighting products or pictures of models on runways, and you don't know anything about those products.
Somebody's watching the Academy Awards, the Oscars.
Exactly.
Where do I get a dress like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, it's like the award ceremony time, the awards time of the year is a great experience. Is a great example of what we're doing, because it's like how to get her to look on a budget. And although we're not promising that we're a price comparison experience, we're a product comparison experience. That kind of awards group is a great example of why we feel there's so much need for something like HOVR.IT.
Okay.
Because I see something I like, but I don't know where to find it. And secondarily to that, even if I could find it, I want to comparison shop it. So we build both those things right at the point of discovery, and we make it a tool that the online shopper can take with them everywhere.
So someone sees a dress. What do they do?
So with HOVR.IT installed. So in a nutshell, HOVR.IT, we use image recognition to create a match. We distribute that experience through a browser plugin, so you can install the browser one click from our website.
Okay.
And the way the experience rolls out is we actually create new functionality in images, such that if you see a picture of a dress on a magazine that you like, an online magazine, but let's keep the Pinterest example.
Sure.
You can just place your mouse over that picture, and there'll be a HOVR.IT call to action that exists at the bottom right corner. It's a little turquoise circle. And when you click on that, it creates a search query to our database, and we actually use our algorithms to match between that item we're looking at and the database of products we have, and we actually show the user within a browser sidebar experience, so kind of a 2-inch browser sidebar that comes out. A list of all the retailers that sell that product or very similar products, but again, very visually engaging. So all the imagery is there. This is the product, 1, 2, 3, and I think right now, we default to like 50 products that we show that are similar.
Okay.
And then the user can then go and filter down things as they want. But every single one of those images within our sidebar is clickable directly to the product page for the retailer.
Interesting.
So you get, one-click search experience off Pinterest. you get the whole comparison shopping experience in that sidebar, and then every single one of those images is then clickable to visit the retailer directly. So you get to do all that stuff, and we never take you out of the experience you discover in. So when we do launch on Facebook, and when we do launch so you can work basically internet-wide, you get that experience, that search, that you can convert that aha moment into a shopping moment, but right where you found it. So we're not taking you to like a third-party website that you have to interact with, and we don't have to be top of mind to say, okay, I haven't spent an hour today in HOVR.IT. Like, it's just a tool you take with you. You use it when you need it, and when you don't need it, it doesn't bother you.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So it's almost like Pinterest. When you see images on the internet, all you have to do is pin it. You don't need to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
You just pin it, exactly.
Interesting.
Well, for Pinterest sake.
So now, I'm assuming you're connecting people with the product that they're interested in purchasing to an online retailer.
Correct.
Now we're here in Toronto. There are very successful and robust e-commerce companies and sites here in Canada, but a lot of them are also U.S. based. That Canadians also visit. Do you take into account people's location?
We do. A big piece of the vision for HOVR.IT long term is how do we layer the experience in more relevance, and obviously relevance is a function of location. And that's what we really learned a lot about, and what we've been able to apply from our experience around Boomurang now. We spent so much time thinking about the geographic value of information. How do people consume information on mobile, so that we understand, but like that allows us to open a big vision for what we want to do. But ultimately, the experience of today is one that you can basically access. I think we have over 400 retailers in the experience, from a variety of retailers from Canada and the United States.
Okay.
Layering on the geographic layer into the web part is within kind of our pipeline, but we haven't done it yet. For now, it's really about understanding what users want, and we've already had feedback that says like, show me if it's available in Canada or if it's free shipping. Show me if it's where I'm getting it from. Okay. So we're going to layer in those kinds of things to give more information back to the shopper.
Fantastic.
But for now, to be honest with you, for us to put a geographic layer and limit it, I think it would actually limit the experience that users get of today.
Perfect. So right now, people can utilize the plugin on the web via desktop browser. Where does mobile fit in to the roadmap of HOVR.IT?
So we're planning on launching a mobile equivalent, let's call it, or a complementary mobile experience is how we usually speak to. Okay. Sometime in the summer, date should be determined. Sure. That mobile experience is really meant to mimic what you get on the web. Okay. So rather than hovering over images on web, you're actually taking pictures of things in real time as you walk down the street. Wow. Or as you're sitting with your friends at parties or whatnot. That same system that's driving the matches will be there to provide you kind of the results that you need. But coming back to how important location is, the whole geographic piece sits really nicely in mobile, because what we aim to do is actually provide not only the result set, but we tailor it for location relevance. So here's retailers nearby that you can buy that item.
That was going to be my next question, Adam. So I can see those companies that have the ability to have e-commerce sites really sort of benefiting, from what it is that you guys are doing. But what about the local mom and pop or local just independent retailer that doesn't have that capacity to have an e-commerce site? How does HOVR.IT help them? And do you see mobile as that solution for them?
That's a great question.
I only ask big questions.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
No, I know you do. We think about them all the time.
Yeah.
I think our internal point of view is that if you're looking for a product, I want to give as equal opportunity as possible for everyone who sells something similar to have exposure to you, so you can make, as an online shopper, an informed decision. Yeah. And so us capturing the local mom and pops is actually fairly facilitated by us making the right partnerships with people in the startup scene here, or in companies there's lots of companies in Toronto who are addressing that need. So, and even we've already started in the last week, we've already been speaking with someone who has a good grasp on the local and bringing in all their products. Like for us, from an integration perspective, and for us to make that exposure for these mom and pops, it's actually very simple. Like, data feeds into our system are non-technical integration. So majority of these guys already have kind of a fee that they can provide us, so we just take that fee. So
who are some of these partners?
I'm not really sure that I can mention who they are right now.
No worries.
But they already are providing solutions for the local mom and pop to create easy e-commerce destinations. And so we're talking with them about, hey, why don't you plug that data feed into us, because now we can drive traffic to your customers. In the same way that we would drive traffic to, big time retailers that have bricks and mortar and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent.
So very much within what we want to address, even in the short term.
You guys are very active online in terms of social media. I'm curious, what role does that play for you guys?
Social media, so right now we're really focusing on spending time in places where we can draw the most value for the user. So it's very hard for us to be doing things like, we can talk to our friends on Facebook, which is great, and they're very supportive, and we love them for that. But, to answer the question as directly as possible, we spend the majority of our time in Pinterest because it's Pinterest users that have the pain. So we spend the time talking to them. In terms of, we're doing some things in Twitter as well, and, we're keeping up with all the places that we should be. But ultimately, the truest value for us is to communicate what we do and to the pinners of the world, because they're the ones that can get the most value from what we do. So social media for us plays a really good role when we look at it from a lens of how do we contact those person, and how do we, this will sound businessy, but how do we activate someone we're talking to?
Yeah.
So, and right now social media is all that we do in terms of PR, or in terms of reach. We do kind of a little bit of PR and social media, and that's it.
Interesting. And that's been successful for you guys?
So far, so good. Nice. Yeah, for us, learning from the early users gives us the most opportunity to make adjustments, so that when you want to go out to a larger market, you have a handful of bugs already tested, or some user experience things that maybe we got wrong to start. We can fix them with our early guys, and then, then do a lot larger push on the marketing side of things.
One question that I had, there's a huge variety of different types of photos on Pinterest, and I know we're focusing on Pinterest, but really you guys want to be able to solve that whole web solution, have a web solution, and I understand that. But back to Pinterest, kind of where you guys are growing and learning a lot. What about products such as food? What are your thoughts on that? Are you guys doing anything in that space? I'd love to get your thoughts on that, or is it something that?
No. It's a good question, because when we first started working on it, it was what are the product verticals that we want to talk about? So, ultimately, again, you look to the stats to define early direction, and it's really about, what items are people consuming on Pinterest, and it's going to be, food is a big one for sure, but, apparel is really where we've fallen into.
Okay.
Food is interesting because you can't look at, I'll answer it in a slightly different way.
Sure.
If I were to look at your Pinterest board, and you had a picture of the Eiffel Tower, I would never assume that you really want a 2-inch Eiffel Tower ornament that sits on your desk.
Sure.
You're going to want to go to Paris.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to look at what the motivation is of the person to understand why they're pinning it, right? So we look at things like, if there's a lemon meringue pie, you either want to buy one or bake one.
Yeah.
So if we were to unlock the HOVR.IT experience for food, then we would make that inference and say, okay, if you're going to hover over this piece of food, then I'm either going to show you recipes you could buy it, or recipes so you can make it, or places nearby, for example, that you can buy it. So I think that to extrapolate to every product vertical, you just have to look at the context by which they're discovering it, right?
Interesting. So not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Food would be cool. The funnest thing for us is, so right now we're only dealing with a subset of verticals because it's tangible and we can manage it.
Yeah.
Which would be women's apparel and dresses, shirts, and pants, bags. And we're looking to launch more verticals as we go, but you can hover on any picture on Pinterest. And so what's kind of funny is there'll be a casserole, and you'll hover on the casserole and you'll get dresses that look like a casserole, right? So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But the food thing, the goal is that whatever you discover online will be able to provide you with very qualified results that you will be able to visit retailers to purchase. Retailer may be a bakery in the future.
True. Absolutely. You guys just finished at INcubes, your time at INcubes. You're still kind of using your space at the moment. What was that experience like? What did you learn from it?
I think the experience was great.
Yeah.
A couple of people have asked, like we're big supporters of what they're doing there, and I can say that if I had to pick, two things that really were really valuable, is that the community, and this is specific to INcubes, I'm not going to generalize it to all incubation and acceleration programs, but INcubes is great because they're really interested in building a community around that space, and that community is all inclusive. So no matter who you are, if you have an idea, you don't have an idea, you want to meet people with ideas, you want a place to work for a couple of hours, they're extremely open to that kind of stuff. And I think it creates a place to go to work that's a lot more comfortable, and it's a lot more open to building ideas and for people to push off each other and grow and make business and do all that kind of stuff. The other thing that was amazing about the INcubes experience was how fast they bring a network to you.
Yeah.
And I don't mean I get introduction there, therefore I'm best friends with this guy.
Sure.
But they surround the entrepreneurs who are who are at INcubes with anybody and everybody, because you don't know who may know somebody, you don't know who may take a liking to you or your product or your vision. So very quickly they surround you with other entrepreneurs who have done things, people who are in kind of the financing VC side, who can tell you here's heads up what the world will be like 3 months when you're done this process, because it's like school, you're kind of cradled in it a little bit, but when you're done it's okay, release to the wild, right? And they prepare you for that, and I found that they prepare you very well for it because of the community of people they built and the network that they've grown around it.
Interesting.
So the experience was great. Some people ask me, had we not gone through it, would we be doing HOVR.IT right now? I'd like to say yes, but I don't know. I don't have to answer that question. Right?
Sure. Yeah, you don't have to, because you haven't gone through that. We've talked about a lot of things, and I want to ask this one question as we wrap up. You talked about the ability to tie in local retailers. You talked about being able to hover over any product and being able to purchase that. Having it as a total web experience, what you guys are going to do with mobile. If there's one thing that you can share with us in terms of what's next for HOVR.IT, what's that sort of next piece that you're building, or the next iteration, or what can people come to expect from HOVR.IT next?
It's a great question. Again, you only ask great questions. So we're in the process of releasing in the next 7 days, 10 days, a version that you can use anywhere. So right now, the one you will get online if you install as of today's date, you get that Pinterest experience. Yeah. So in about the next 10 days, we'll be releasing a version where you can hover on images anywhere. So Instagram, Tumblr blogs.
So web experience is coming.
The complete suite.
That's fantastic.
Again, keep in mind that we select a certain subset of products.
Sure.
So a series of product verticals. And right now, very targeted to women, because they're the ones who are engaging with that thing, and they're the ones who have the pain that we want to solve. So we address the needs of our users, right?
Sure.
That for us we're really excited about, because I think the idea of going from, I've spent some time in Pinterest and it's fun, but I've also spent time in lots of other places than Pinterest, and I want this too. We really look forward to seeing what the responses are going to be to that. They've asked for it, so we want to deliver it to them. So that's a big piece of it. And then secondary to that, just adding more product verticals. Right now we're only on Chrome. We'll be releasing one on Firefox, similar time to when we released the internet-wide version.
Fantastic.
So really exciting right now to see what's going to happen when we just unleash it and let it go. But so far, internal testing has been very good.
Is your girlfriend excited about her New Year's resolution for you?
I think so. We never actually talk about that, but maybe when I see her tonight, I'll ask her. I'll say, what do I owe you now? Or something like that.
Where can people connect with you, and where can people connect with HOVR.IT online?
Sure. So we're in every social media, HOVR.IT or HOVR.IT, our handle at HOVR.IT. For myself, you can connect with me on Twitter is probably the best place, at jar, Jar _of_ZIN.
All right.
Those are probably the best places. We're very engaged in our Pinterest and in our Twitter, especially from the HOVR.IT handle, so you can find us there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Karim Kanji. Go check me out on Twitter, at Karim Kanji. You can also go online to our website, www.thirdocean.com. We'll chat with you soon. Bye-bye.